It's Hoops Tuesday. It's also $2 Tuesday. Gianni The Greek joining us right off the bat. Ronald Cabang, Mark Zinno, Teddy's Big Game Breakdown. I got a couple of movie reviews for you all. It's WagerTalk Today, the world's best sports betting show on the planet. Teddy covers, my co-host, and a man who's already annoyed me off air. Let's get to it. Gianni, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the show. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Let the thunder roll through. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was sick. I've been battling this virus since like last Monday, but it's towards the end. There's like nothing they could even give me. I even did like a telemed, just trying to get any kind of relief, but they're like, it's a virus. You just got to let it pass. So it's towards the end, and I'm getting ready to go to Florida for about 10 days. I'll be there for the Super Bowl. So anyone at the Hard Rock Seminole in Tampa Bay, I will be there for the Super Bowl. Stop in, say hello. I'll probably be there for like 3 or 4 days at the Seminole. The rest of the time I'll be in Clearwater.
Nice. Well, we'll talk about that in a sec, but I was a little shocked. You're like the Chuck Norris of handicapping. You didn't battle the virus. The virus battled you. And you know what?
Trying to slow me down.
It lost.
It's trying. So far, so good.
Oh, yeah. Get out of here, virus. I'm Gianni. Teddy covers.
Can't slow me down.
So I'm real interested because everyone's coming to Vegas for Super Bowl. You're leaving Vegas for Super Bowl. Talk about that for just a second.
Yeah, there's a method of training called the Gann method, Gann. There was a gentleman that was one of the best traders on the planet. Very few people did he teach this method to. In fact, institutions were hiring him at $100,000 a pop to teach this method that are top traders, and he more or less would refuse to do it. One of his disciples will be retiring as of next week. He decided for his retirement to offer to 30 people this training. They told him they'll tape if they can tape it so he can sell it. He said, no. I want to invite 30 people. I want to teach them the Gann method so then they could pay it forward. And I'm going to teach them every secret that I have before I walk away. And I just couldn't pass it up. It cost a lot of money, but I couldn't pass it up. It's like a 5 or 6 day, 12-hour-a-day seminar. And it leads into Friday before the Super Bowl. And since I'm already going to be there, I'm like, I don't want to come back here on Saturday, Teddy. It's going to be crazy. I might as well stay down there in Florida and enjoy it at the Hard Rock, have a nice place there, and stay for 2 or 3 days instead of coming back for the craziness. So I'm kind of missing it because I should be in Vegas for the first Super Bowl in Vegas. But at the same time, I've been through so many Super Bowls. What's going to be different?
Sure. Well, let's talk about some college hoops for today. You are, of course, the $2 Tuesday handicapper over at WagerTalk.com. You have a UFC play available, only $2 right now on your homepage at WagerTalk.com. But right now we're talking some college hoops. And the very first game on the college basketball card for tonight, South Carolina and Tennessee. I see the Vols opened in the minus 13 range. I'm seeing 13.5s, 14s on the WagerTalk live odds screen right now. Total anywhere between 136 and 137. What do you want to do with the Gamecocks and the Volunteers?
As of this morning, this early on, this is actually the stronger of the plays that I have in college basketball because we bet it with the groups I work with, but I had this one already circled. I love Tennessee in this spot. It's just one of those extremes that I look for where you have a team in South Carolina who looks like, sure, they're 17-3, but it's against a strength of schedule that's 129th in college basketball, compared to Tennessee, who is a top 5 team, who actually has one of the toughest strengths of schedules, 6th toughest, in fact, and they're number 2 in offensive efficiency, number 19th in defensive efficiency. This is as legit of a team as you can get against a South Carolina team that's inflated based on a weak schedule. The cream's going to rise to the top, and this is going to be an easy 20, 25-point victory for Tennessee. They've owned this team over the last decade. Nothing's going to change. They're top 30 in D1 experience. This team will be very dangerous come March Madness. Tennessee Vols, lay the 14. You could get 13.5 even right now. That's what I got down at. But a lot of time these lines move, so I sent it out at 14 just so my guys know I'm comfortable up until that number. And that's actually a 4% play, which is pretty big for me because I doing volume when it comes to college basketball, NBA, 5-6 picks a night. So I kind of try to leave it at 3% all across the board. But this one jumped down. I had to step it up a little bit.
The two meetings last year, 85-45 and 85-42. Tennessee won both meetings by 40 plus. Gianni says expect more of the same in the first meeting in 2024. Let's take a look at a Big Ten showdown. We've already seen the money flowing on this one. Money showing for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing Iowa -1.5/ -2. Total 160 against Indiana. Bettors expecting a high-octane shootout at Assembly Hall. What do you look for with the Hoosiers and the Hawkeyes Tuesday night college hoops?
And the reason I wanted to share this pick is because usually I would look to the other side. And yet, fortunately, I work with really sharp groups. And when I saw multiple ask me for the same play, they took Iowa on the money line when they were a +1 dog. They took the +1. Then they laid the one with Iowa. They laid the money line with Iowa. When I see all of that and I don't see that an obvious scalp that was just sitting there, free money for them, they didn't take it. To me, that's a telling sign. It tells me that I was reading this wrong. Because to me, I saw an extreme. I saw an Indiana team that came in off 3 straight losses, 3 straight double-digit losses, and now they're at home where I know they've played well this year. So I would expect them to come in a little bit undervalued. You've been blown away by double digits, 3 straight games. You're being overlooked. This may be a good spot to back them at home. That would be my reasoning coming in. But obviously, they see it a little differently. And when I dug into it to see what am I missing, it started to become obvious that this Indiana team is just as weak as you're going to get, meaning they look similar when you look at their records, when you look at their ATS mark, extremely similar sides. You would think Indiana, they're the home team, they have the edge. But when you dig a little deeper, what you'll see is Iowa just much more efficient. That's key. When it comes to efficiency, especially on the offensive side of the ball, they get it done and they don't make mistakes. They're top 10 in turnover percentage. They're top 20 in offensive efficiency. And a defense like Indiana's, who's barely in the top 100 defensively, I think they're going to have a lot of problems keeping up with Iowa. We do expect a lot of points. You nailed it with the total, but I just think Iowa does outscore Indiana because their offense is just that much better. And this is a very winnable game for Iowa in a series where they've come alive over the last 4 or 5. They've had their way with Indiana. Again, usually I would actually look the other side or probably have passed, but because I saw what the groups I work with did with this game, it made me secure that this is a strong position. And like I said, when I dug into it, the metrics really supported Iowa, even the optics don't, meaning you look at their record, you look at their ATS record, you look at their road record. These teams look too similar to find a edge in a road team in what appears to be a coin flip. But obviously, men sharper than me did, and as I looked into it, I thought they saw what they saw made sense to me, so I took Iowa as well. But I bet them on the money line because if you're going to lay -2, if you can get better than 135, take the money line because -2, -110 equals a money line of -135 in college basketball. So if you get 132, don't lay the 2. I know it sucks. You want to lay 110 instead of 132, but it's a better bet. And that's all you could hope for. Just try to make good bets. Good bets, good bets, good bets. You'll do okay.
Gianni the Greek. Wonderful stuff, my friend. And you are a fascinating man. Going to learn the GAN method. I learned it 20 years ago, so you're a bit late to the party.
Better late than never. You were rich then, though. I didn't have money back then to trade. You already had money to trade. So even if I knew the method, I couldn't do anything with it.
Yes. I did not have any money 30 years ago. None.
Wow.
That's a different
I didn't know
story.
that.
Well,
I didn't know that.
I was just starting my life, brother. I was like 24, 25 years old. I took I had $12,000 to my name, Gianni, in 1999, and I used it to start Who to Bet On, my first sports handicapping business, which I then sold 8 years later for a couple of digits.
God bless you, man.
Thanks, brother. Plus 342 units in 365 days. That is an absolutely incredible achievement. Just spectacular stuff. We're lucky to have you. $2 Tuesday handicapper, Gianni. It's a UFC bet. He's up 38.5 units in the last 365 in those. Take 1 second out of your day. Go grab his $2 play. Gianni, what else do you got? Do you want to run through a whole list of shit?
Yeah, why not? Let's give him some gold. Let's give him some gold. With that UFC pick, you may want to add Renato Moicano. I know you like a lot of guys out there like the parlay with the UFC. Take my 4% play. It's in the main event. I love it. And go ahead and add Renato Moicano. It's the co-main event. He's about minus 140, 145. Anything less than 200 is a steal. The only reason it's not 200 is because the name on the other side of the octagon is Drew Dober, but this is a mismatch as far as skill sets go on paper. And real quickly, let me yell out some college basketball for the viewers. These are all bets that I got down for already. Haven't confirmed and released as premium, but I do have a position. Ready? 628, Boston College minus 3.5. 625, Texas Tech plus 5.5 plus 5. 630, Georgia Tech plus 10. 634, Loyola Chicago minus 8. 639, SEMO plus 3. 644, Air Force minus 3.5. 650, DePaul plus 10.5. 652, Kansas minus 15. Those are the sides. I'll keep the totals. There's a lot of those. Those lines fluctuate up and down, so we'll keep it to the sides for this segment. Whether you follow or fade, like I say, I just hope you cash them, don't trash them. And a unit a day keeps the books away, baby. Just that's all it takes. One unit, one day.
The hurricane has come to an end. The tornado has stopped circling. Gianni the Greek. Wow, Teddy. There are very few people that can steamroll me, and he is one of them.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, please take a second out of your day and hit that like button, and also subscribe to our channel. We're at 143,000 subscribers. We'd really like to get to 1 million by tomorrow. So we're going to need a lot of help. Please subscribe to our channel. Teddy, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
I don't know what we learned. I learned something last night. And my sports betting strategy, it really is as simple as it gets. I want to ride hot teams before the markets catch up to their current form. I want to fade cold teams before the markets catch up to their current form. And I want to find teams and spots where full season stats are lying. You have a point spread that is not, in theory, where it should be. And yet somehow, that's my core philosophy. Somehow last night I ended up betting on the Miami Heat, the defending Eastern Conference champs. They lost 6 straight, exactly the opposite of what I looked to do. But boy, it was a Miami spot. Everyone healthy for the first time really all year. They're at home. They're rested against the Suns, an opponent that's going to get their attention on the second of back-to-backs. And I was right in one sense, in the sense that they were locked in. Foul shooting will tell you how locked in a team is on any given night. And the Heat, 25 of 25 from the free throw line last night. But it didn't matter. They weren't good enough. They couldn't hit a shot. They couldn't get a stop. They were blown out by halftime. First 7-game losing streak for Miami since 2007, 2008, when they went 15-67 before Eric Spoelstra came to town. No team in the history of the NBA has been able to go on and win a championship after losing more than 6 in a row. No team has gone on to win a playoff series after losing more than 6 in a row since the Blazers did it back in 2016. These are discouraging signs for Miami. So you say, moving forward, what do we do with the Heat? Right now, This is a team in free fall. They're a bet against until proven otherwise. They got to show legitimate improvement before I'm going to put any of my money on the Miami Heat again. The defending Eastern Conference champs slumping big time right now, Lawrence. That's what I learned last night. What about you?
Teddy covers. I'm going to give a couple of movie reviews out. Before we get into that, I want to remind everybody, we have Ronald Cabang still coming up. Ronald's going to look at the Hawks and the Lakers game, as well as he has a bet on the Toronto Raptors. Mark Zinno joining us. He's going to look at the Jazz and the Knicks game, and Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. Plus Teddy's big game breakdown. And if we get to 125 likes, I do have 2 NHL bets to give out. Teddy, I'm going to be super quick. So a couple of nights ago, I finally got around to watching Oppenheimer. It's a 3-hour movie. It is
You gave this review already.
10 out of 10. Yes, I know. 10 out of 10. Last night, I watched Ferrari. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. It was a really fun movie. I don't think it's the best car movie. I think Ford versus Ferrari was better. But I just wanted to shout out Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz, specifically Adam Driver, laid down as good an acting performance as you'll ever see in your life. I've seen almost all the Oscar movies. He killed it. He should win the Oscar. He murdered it. It was an unbelievable movie. So check that out. And I also watched Boys from the Boat, which I thought was about a 7 out of 10. Okay, I went 1-3 last night, Teddy. I had a shitty losing freaking night. I should have gone 2-2, but I had a tough beat on the under in McNeese. Frustrates the shit out of me when I lose, brother. Frustrates the shit out of me. Ronald Cabang joining us, everyone. Ron, did you have a winning night?
Yeah, I went 3-1 yesterday in the NBA. So hopefully we keep going in that direction, heading into the Super Bowl week.
Yeah, nice. And you've had an outstanding NBA season. How many hours a day do you put into the NBA?
More than I want to be honest. I'm there pretty much all day. By the time I'm done with today's slate, I'm already looking to the next day. So always looking to find the advantage.
Well, there we go. Let's move on to the Hawks and the Lakers. You like over the total. Tell us why.
Yeah, looking at this Lakers team, they've gone over in 6 straight games now. I know one of them was a double OT game, but they're also playing on the second leg of back-to-back games. And one thing that I've noticed with them on these second leg of back-to-back games, they've actually gone over in 4 straight of those situations as well. Also, 4 straight non-conference road games. So their defense doesn't travel. They've been struggling from that aspect ever since the play-in tournament. The Hawks, they've been a strong over team this season, especially at home. They're 14-8. To the over at home. I know this is a pretty high total. I think it's creeped up all the way to, I see 249, one of the higher numbers right now. I did give this out to the clients yesterday at 247. That's the reason why I like to look ahead. I like to try and get those best numbers. But for me, one other thing that I looked at the last time the Hawks were at home and their opponent was on the second leg of back-to-back games, they scored a combined 279 points in regulation with the Thunder. So this definitely, even like I said, even though it's a high total, it's definitely doable for this Hawks team that doesn't play a lot of defense either. Potential roster implications, though, Lakers on the second leg of back-to-back games. AD is uncertain. LeBron did say he plans to play today. So that's something to look for later on is AD's status. DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, both questionable, but they did both participate at shoot-around. Some of the other things that not only trends but statistical interactions. Both teams in the top 7 in pace. Both teams struggle at limiting fast break points. So this could be a situation where we see a sort of a track meet, like layup drill, things like that. Another thing to mention: the Lakers, 3rd in the league in average points per game in the paint. The Hawks are 27th in the league at limiting it. I know AD is, like I said, is questionable. That's going to be something to watch. But you got guys like Vanderbilt and Hayes who are really good offensive rebounders to take his place. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different offensively, but still second chance points, being able to get into the paint, fast break points as well. They Vanderbilt and Hayes both love to run the floor, so a lot of things to me point towards the over here.
So Atlanta's had some really choppy offensive performances lately. Not the last couple games, but they cashed 7 consecutive unders prior to this past week. They were playing a little bit. I mean, I don't know how much slower they were playing, but their offense wasn't as good. We've got injuries tonight. We don't know if DeAndre Hunter's going to play. We don't know if DeJounte Murray's going to play this evening. Do you worry at all about the Hawks' offensive piece of the equation in this particular over? Because Lakers defense, I mean, it's not great, but it's certainly not a bottom feeder defense. It's not Atlanta's defense, for example.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I think it really has to do with some of those interactions. Like I said, the second chance points, being able to get those opportunities there, and also the fast break points, being able to run back and forth. The pace of play here for this game, I think, is going to be pretty quick, especially if AD is out. You got, like I said, Vanderbilt and Hayes can run the floor pretty well. The other piece of it too, I know that you mentioned the Hawks, their inability to score consistently, but the Lakers on the second leg of back-to-back games, double OT game a couple games ago, I don't know if they're going to have the legs to really play defense. I think they're going to really look towards this Hawks matchup as a game where they feel like they can outscore them, not really have to play defense, in my opinion. So if that's the way they're going to look and not have the legs to play defense, I think the over really is the way to go. The market does agree with the number as well. Like I said, I gave this out to 247 to the clients last night, up to 249 at Circa. So I think the market agrees. I think I think there might even still be some room there. To be honest, I think it's, like I said, fast pace. It's going to go up and over.
Ronald Cabang joining us. Ronald, one of our listeners, Jim Turner, writes, "Hurry up, I have to take a leak." Jim, you know what? We're going to put the show on hold for 1 minute. Go take a leak. Go!
I'll give you a hint. If you want to take a leak, you can go during Prez's movie reviews.
Oh, Teddy. Oh, Teddy. Ronald, the Raptors.
Who's tuning into this show? I mean, honestly, who would tune into this show to hear your opinion about some movie that they're not going to watch? I mean, it baffles me. Like, you're like, that's what they want to hear from me today is a movie review.
Okay, you know what? I'll give a few more after Ronald, okay? Just for you. Ron, the Raptors, man, this team is, well, you know what? As a guy who lives in Toronto, at least they're not mediocre. Mediocre is the worst. Maybe we'll get a draft pick. Who knows? What's going on with this team tonight?
Yeah, the Raptors are struggling right now. They have lost 9 of their last 10 games. It really is actually on both sides of the ball. Prior to the game against the Hawks, I know the Raptors went under in 6 straight games. Opponents still going over their team total in those games, though, at a pretty decent rate. On the Bulls side, they have been playing pretty well recently. They've covered 4 of their last 5. They're also kind of clicking on both sides of the ball, so it's the opposite of Toronto right now. Offensively, they've gone over their team total in 8 of their last 10 games. Defensively, opponents stayed under their team total in 5 of their last 6. I know Barrett is out. Quickly is questionable, but from what I've seen, he's likely not going to play today. Pirtle is questionable as well going into this one. I know the Bulls are dealing with some stuff. Williams and Levine are both out. But to me, I think the Bulls have looked a lot better without Levine, in my opinion, especially from the spread perspective. When Levine's not in the lineup, 15-7 against the spread so far this season, especially when they're at home, 8-3 straight up and against the spread in that spot. The Bulls, they're more efficient offensively. They grab more offensive rebounds, and they are better at defending the 3 ball without Levine as well. I think they give up nearly 15 or 16 threes a game when Levine's in the lineup, but when he's not in the lineup, they're down to 12 or 13 around there. For me, I think momentum's on the Bulls side here. The issues for the Bulls that I can think of, first leg of back-to-back games, they've been traveling a ton, but I think 6 of their previous 7 games were on the road. So, like I said, they've been traveling a little bit. And this is their first game home off a 3-game road trip. So, offensively, I'm kind of scared on their side. That's the reason why I kind of stay away from the spread. But their defense, their slow pace should continue. Also, they're really good at offensive rebounds. They also force a ton of turnovers, so that should limit the Raptors' scoring opportunities. Like I said, Raptors dealing with injuries, ton of offense is missing with Barrett and IQ potentially at the lineup. So the way that I'm looking at this one is kind of get away from the Bulls offense because of their travel and rest situation. But I got to look towards the Raptors team total under in this one. In 5 games as home favorites without Levine, they've given up over 100 points just once, and they gave up 109. I think the team total right now it's at 110 or 111, I believe. So they haven't reached that number without Levine as a home favorite.
So, in listening to your analysis there, it sounds to me like you're making a kind of a case for Chicago, but you don't know that you trust them because you don't have the spot. But it sounds also like you're making a case for full game under as opposed to team total under. Talk to me why you chose Toronto team total under as opposed to first half / full game / any other type of under that you would want to bet with that ball game.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just the inconsistencies of the Raptors defense as well in the last few games. I think I mentioned it earlier, they've given up a good chunk of team total overs, even though their full games have been going under. But for the most part, there is a situation, like I said, where the Bulls are a lot more efficient offensively without Levine. So that's the other thing that I'm kind of scared of. So there's that instance where the spot is not great, but at the same time, you put together the Raptors not playing really good defense and the Bulls being more efficient without Levine, that kind of puts me at a questionable point where I don't know what to expect from the Bulls side offensively. So that's why I really wanted to focus on one side, which I believe the Raptors should struggle offensively. There's a situation where they could even win or cover this game and still stay under their team total. I think their path to victory is defense. So not offense, in my opinion. So regardless of whether they cover or not, it seems like a situation where the Raptors stay under.
Ronald Cabang, what do you got to promote?
Yeah, I got one other play today, other than the 2 that I just gave out. Like Prez said, I've been running pretty good over the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. I think up over 60% on the season during that span. I know the weekend wasn't great. But bounced back yesterday with a 3-1, and then hopefully today we look for a sweep 3-0.
Nicely done, Ronald Cabang, everyone. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Teddy, one of our listeners, really good dude, Sports Avenger. He's been waiting for some Prez cooking tips. I know you want some, so really quickly, Sports Avenger. I really love lamb, specifically lamb chops. One of my favorite dishes. Easy recipe. Take ground coffee, ground cacao, mix them together 50-50. Rub your lamb inside of them, cook them up. It'll be the best lamb you've ever had in your life. That is a Michelin star recipe from a Michelin star cook who joined us on a private island in the Bahamas called Over Yonder Cay. It was the best lamb I ever had, and that's all he put with it, Teddy. So, anyway.
It doesn't sound good to me. And what I'm waiting for is for you to start calling our viewers instead of listeners. I've been waiting for that for 4 years. You're still stuck in radio mindset, my friend. They're watching our podcast. They're not listening.
Oh,
some are
really?
listening to it.
Yeah. So, Teddy, if for them to actually get the actionable information, I challenge them to put noise canceling headphones in or lower the volume and just watch the show, or put eye patches on and listen to the show. Which way are they going to get the information?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Their eyes might be looking, but they are listening to the show. Do you want another cooking recipe? Do you? What's your big game breakdown?
Let's talk a little college basketball for Tuesday night. This one has potential to be a whole lot of fun. Let's talk about Colorado State and San Diego State Mountain West Showdown. Look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. I'm seeing the Rams -2.5 home favorites, total sitting in the 141/141.5 range. There is a prominent 142 out there on the total. This is a Colorado State team that spent all year in the top 25, and they just dropped out of the top 25. back-to-back road losses last week at Nevada, at Wyoming. And look, the Wyoming game was insane. They blew an 11-point lead with a minute and 11 seconds left in the second half. And then, of course, lost in overtime as 8-point chalk. But now we're talking about a team that's 2-4 in their last 6 ball games. They've lost their mojo a little bit. Colorado State 10-1 at home this season, straight up. Oh, this is their spot. They're great on it. Well, what's the loss? They lost to the best defensive team they faced in St. Mary's. Guess who they're facing tonight? Elite defensive team in San Diego State. We talk about the spot. Colorado State coming off these excruciating losses, bad road losses. They've lost their mojo. Maybe they've lost a little bit of their confidence. San Diego State hasn't lost their confidence. They blew out Wyoming last time, the same team that Colorado State lost to in their last game. Then they had a week off. 2 huge games this week. Colorado State on the road, Utah State back at home. And from all indications, they're trying to go 2-0 this week. They can win on the road. They won at Gonzaga, enough said, and San Jose. They lost by only 1 at Boise in their last road tilt. The Rams, 0-3 straight up against San Diego State last season. 2-8 straight up the last 10 meetings between these two programs. One win came by 1 point. The other came by 3. 4 of the last 5 meetings decided by 6 points or less. This is a dog series, and we have a live dog here. Give me San Diego State. The Aztecs, plus 2.5 at Colorado State. And there's no rush to bet this. We could see +3s or even higher before tip-off. All the early money has come for the home favorite. Not my money. San Diego State or pass. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers back to cooking. Sports Avenger. He just found out if you add milk to eggs, scrambled eggs, it makes it more fluffy. That's something your mother should have taught you. And real quick, add about that much mayonnaise. You won't taste the mayo. The taste will evaporate, but it will make your eggs way fluffier than milk. Tip of the day from the Prez. Send me $25. Mark Zinno, how are you, muscle man?
I'm good, Prez. How are you? Great to be with you guys once again. Thanks for having me as always.
Yeah, dude, it's like it's almost a good time to bet against you. It's 3 shows in 5 nights. Your legs must be tired.
Unlike LeBron and AD, I don't mind going on short rest. So,
Teddy,
and I just got to say, Mark, you came in. You're like the way you said that. You're like long-time listener, first-time caller. Let's go. It's like, yeah, I've been here, done that. Although that's kind of an obsolete phrase now, isn't it? Lawrence, let's get some actionable information out of this man.
Mark Zinno, I was on the Utah Jazz last night. They did not get the memo. They couldn't care less. They kicked me in the tuchus, and now they, like you, are on a back-to-back. They're playing the Knicks. How do we bet this game?
Well, full disclosure, I was on the Nets last night as well. So that line just stunk. And usually when I see stinky lines in the NBA, I kind of take a long, hard look about why they are. Look, this is a Knicks team right now. Full disclosure, I'm a Knicks fan. So I am excited at watching a team that's 13-2 straight up and 12-3 against the number since January 1st of this year. Remember, they made that New Year's Eve trade, which sent Emmanuel Quigley and guys over to Toronto and what they got back in return. So they have changed their roster a little bit. Now, the Knicks during this run have been laying bigger numbers against bad teams and bad defensive teams. If you look, you're talking about -9 to Chicago, -9.5 to Washington, -12 to Portland, -7.5 to Toronto. Even talking about recently, -8 to Charlotte last night, a line that ended up closing at 10, by the way. So they've been covering bigger numbers here. And that's why when I see this line, it looks a little fishy because both of these teams are on a back-to-back. Now, Utah's on their own great run here at 14-6 straight up and ATS over their last 20. This is clearly a better offensive team than what the Knicks faced last night in Charlotte. I wondered why this line was so short here. The other part you have to factor into this equation, guys, is that Julius Randle is out. He didn't play last night. He had that shoulder dislocation in the game against Miami, and who knows how long he's going to be out. Last night, part of my handicap in playing the Knicks, as they covered, was, look, Charlotte's just not an offense that really can take advantage. And I think Utah can. And I got to tell you guys, I mean, even as a Knicks fan here, with this line as stinky as it is, I think there's really only one way to play this game. As much as you should take the 4 points, I'd play Utah on the money line. Because if the Knicks are going to win this game, there's one thing that's going to definitively happen. It's going to go under. If you look at their record since the trade back on the 1st, guys, they're 13-2 to the under. I mean, you know, their defense is stepping up, and this is a total that's even higher than what we're seeing for many of the other totals. They've seen a lot of totals in the high 220s, low 230s, and this is a total right here that's at 228. So if the Knicks are going to win this game, it stays under, and that means Utah isn't scoring. But my feeling here is that this is a Utah offense, after sort of getting embarrassed last night, that probably bounces back here, has a better shooting game, and the Knicks feel the effects of not having Julius Randle here. A little sprinkle on the money line. Utah minus +4 rather, but sprinkle on the money line for the Utah Jazz tonight.
So I'm fascinated by this stinky line concept that you're talking about. My power rating number for the game, Jazz 3.5 point dogs. And I update my power ratings every night. That's all I do is, every night I update my power ratings. They're in the gold sheet every week. You can read them there. So my number's 3.5. What makes this line stinky? What makes you think it's stinky?
Well, I think the books, by the way, when you take in back-to-backs, I think the books sometimes overinflate the back-to-back number. I would have made this closer to 6 by my power ratings. I would have had the Knicks favored by 6, given the recent run that they're on. And sort of when you see a team on a run like this, books usually make you pay a premium for a team that is going on a run. You're not seeing that premium here. You're seeing a pretty, lower number than, again, what they've seen against bad defensive teams. And that's what the Jazz are, especially on the road. And the Knicks offensively have actually gotten better since this trade. They're averaging over 116 points per game. That's not usually where the Knicks operate offensively. It's not their MO. And now you take Julius Randle, a guy who's got 24-9 on a nightly basis, barely breaking a sweat, out of the lineup. How much can we see Jalen Brunson, like he did last night with 32, just carry this team over and over again? They're getting more. They're going to have to get more minutes from guys who aren't big offensive contributors. Great on defense, but not big offensive contributors. And tonight may be the night where if Utah is shooting hot, and I think after the way they played last night, they'll have more of a regression to the mean in their scoring and shooting, that they'll be able to get inside this number or win the thing outright.
Mark Zinno joining us. Close your eyes when listening to him and you hear Joe Ranieri. Do you guys do a show together?
I have heard that since I have shown up at WagerTalk across the board, that I seem to sound like Joe Ranieri. I take it as a compliment. I mean, look at Joe. He's got better hair than anybody I know. But Prez, your hair is pretty good too. I'm not going to lie. For you, you got a full head. So there.
Joe does have good hair, but we said you sound like him. His hair is not relevant to the sound of his timbre.
Guys, anytime you compare me to somebody, I'm always going to look at their head. Call it a matter of.
You remind me a lot of Carmine Bianco.
Oh, well, as long as you stay in the Italian world, I'm fine.
Ole Miss -1 versus Mississippi State. How do we bet this game?
Straight dichotomy of two teams in the SEC and home road splits here. Ole Miss 11-0 at home. Mississippi State 0-4 straight up and ATS on the road. Now, normally that's a spot where you want to jump in and do the opposite, right? I would look to play against Ole Miss and play on Mississippi State here. But Mississippi State's playing just their 5th true road game of the year, guys. And they've lost to some pretty mediocre teams in Georgia Tech and South Carolina, also Kentucky and Florida. They failed, or would have failed, to get to 70 in 3 of those 4 games if it wasn't for a chuck-up 3 at the buzzer against Florida where they had 67 and landed right on 70 in a game that was out of hand. The only time they got past 70 was a game against Florida, where Kentucky scored 91. Now, the Mississippi State defense is very good on the whole, but they're allowing 72 points per game in conference play compared to 65 on the season. So you see, once we get inside conference play and you start to see better competition, that defense doesn't look as good. This is an Ole Miss team that scores 78 points per game at home on the season on 46% shooting. Now, this isn't a styles make fights thing. Both of these teams play fairly slow, and I give the advantage to the better shooting team in Ole Miss. You want one more feather in your cap here on Ole Miss? Free throw shooting. Ole Miss in conference play, 79% from the charity stripe. Mississippi State, dead last in the SEC. 14th out of 14 teams, 58.3%. In a game that's a pick 'em, free throws obviously are going to matter. And if you're going to miss that many, that's going to be a problem for the Bulldogs. Now, guys, a lot of people will say that Ole Miss is lucky. And Ken Palm would agree. They have them as the third best luck team in the country. Some of that is because they played a lot of close games early against lesser competition and won them by a possession, 4 points, 5 points. But here's the thing. I would buck that trend and push back against that. That good shooting isn't luck. Like, they're shooting at 44% in conference play and 46% at home. Like, at some point there would be a regression and they would start to pull back and those close games would start to manifest themselves as losses. And that hasn't happened for Ole Miss. Chris Beard, the new head coach there, has done a great job with this team, reinvigorated the dynamics. This is a team that believes that they can win. And both of these teams, guys, situationally are in this weird sort of spot here. Mississippi State is coming off a win against Auburn, and next game they got to go to Tuscaloosa to play a ranked Alabama team, whereas Ole Miss as well, they're coming off a road win against A&M and then have to go play Auburn this weekend. So this rivalry game for both of them is sort of sandwiched in between these big games that they both coming off wins on will head to tougher opponents on the road. So it kind of cancels that out across the board for me. Not worried about the luck rating here. Ole Miss is the better shooting team. They're the better team. They'll take this one at home.
Wow. Ole Miss home chalk is the way to look right now. Again, you don't have to play a whole lot. There's pick'ems out there at many books, -1 at others. So it's not like they're laying a price with the Rebels against the Bulldogs this evening. Even though, I got to ask you, we've seen Mississippi State show the ability to win in Oxford on a pretty consistent basis. Does that concern you here at all?
I like the revenge spot here. That's also another, angle for me on Ole Miss, the fact that they haven't been able to beat Mississippi State. But again, I think these are two dynamically different teams. This is a Mississippi State offense that's not as sharp and efficient as it was last year. And you have a much better Mississippi offense overall. This is a Mississippi State offense that's 10th in the conference in 3-point shooting. This is not a Mississippi State team that scares you offensively. They're 10th out of 14 teams in offensive efficiency rating, and they turn the ball over a ton too. 12th out of 14 teams in conference play in turnover percentage. So I don't think they're as sharp. Mississippi takes advantage here and gets a revenge win and a conference win at home.
Mark Zinno, everyone, joined us with no notice. Dave Sherpman was supposed to be on his regular Tuesday spot. Couldn't make it. Mark jumped in. Mark, what do you have to promote?
Guys, on an incredible 15-3 prop run, cash another 4% prop last night. We got 3 plays that Ole Miss plays, also a client play for everybody else, but 3 total plays up on my page over now at WagerTalk. As well, I've teamed up with Brian Power for a package through the Super Bowl that you'll get all of our plays together. So go to wt.buzz/MZ. All that is there for you guys tonight. 3 for 1 in college hoops tonight.
There we go. Thank you, Mark Zinno. Teddy, it's time for the daily presidential address. Okay, guys, it's the daily presidential address, and I just want to let you know I got 2 NHL bets for you on this show before we get into that. We have a promo code, always active, Access7. That promo code will give you 30 days off of a 7-day all access. It's a great deal. It's a great way to find your handicapper. You can use it on me, Teddy, Zinno, Cabang, Gianni, every handicapper at the website. It's Access7, 30 days off all access. Okay, 2 games in the NHL tonight. Columbus and St. Louis over 6.5. That's where I'm going. And I also like Seattle in regulation. I will explain both of those bets on the penalty box segment later today. Thank you for watching Wager Talk Today. Teddy covers. Take us home.
And of course, we do want to mention that Super Bowl to Super Bowl promo that was just flashed on the screen. Let's talk about it one more time, because this is the best deal you'll get if you want to get on board with a handicapper long-term. We always talk about long-term packages. This is your best opportunity. You're never going to get it cheaper than this. Less than $100 a month, Super Bowl to Super Bowl access, everything included, no bait and switch, no nonsense. Check it out right now. A handicapper of your choice at wagertalk.com. That's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition. We'll do it again on Wednesday, same time, same channel, between now and